It's the Powerhouse Woman Show. You're a powerhouse woman, successful, accomplished, but you know the time has come for something else. To pivot, make a shift, or do what you've been putting off for a long time. I'm Monica Pierre, a media entrepreneur, Emmy Award-winning journalist and coach, and I'm on a mission to help you figure out your path forward and create powerful new stories about your life and legacy. There's more ahead. Time to do the greatest work of your life. The Powerhouse Woman Show is sponsored by Fidelity Bank Power, potential of women entrepreneurs realized, with more than 1,200 members. Fidelity Power, believing in the power of you. Hello and welcome once again to the Powerhouse Woman Show. So happy you've joined us. Let me ask you this. There's an opportunity, right? A door opens and you're so excited, but then suddenly the door is shut. The door closes. Is this the end of your story or the beginning of another and exciting chapter? My next guest is joining us, and Sarah, she is just amazing. Sarah Federer is a small business owner and health coach, and we have been having such great conversations, Sarah, about how to look at closed doors. First of all, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Monica. It's always a pleasure being with you.
You have so many gems that you want to share. For those of you who don't know Sarah, she is a small business owner, health coach. I call her a serial entrepreneur because she has a lot going on. Can you give us like a little quick version of all the things that's working out for you right now that you're involved in?
I wear many hats. My husband and I guess one of the things that we're known for on the North Shore, we're based in Old Mandeville. We own Blue Heron Bed and Breakfast. We won Louisiana's Bed and Breakfast of the Year in 2019. Tremendous blessing. We're a little teeny tiny B&B, but it's been really well received by our community. So that's one of our hats. And then I am the co-owner of Synergy Events and Marketing with my incredible business partner, Sarah Bonnet, and we produce and market many of the North Shore's most popular annual events, from Three Rivers Art Festival, Bluesberry Festival, a lot of the Old Mandeville Business Association's events, Covington Business Association events. So we're kind of all over the event scene. And then I also health coach with my husband. So we teach people how to achieve optimal health and lose weight through proper nutrition and changing their habits. So that also involves a lot of mental work. So we coach them through that.
You are so busy, and we are so grateful that you are here to talk about so many things. And when I reached out to you and I said, well, what you been up to? She goes, what, my crazy year of pivoting?
That's right.
So tell us about your crazy year of pivoting.
Yeah, so I don't want to keep it all about me, but I share stories that, of experiences in my life, and I hope to provide some value through that for maybe somebody else who's going through a similar situation. It's been crazy for all of us, right? I'm in the hospitality industry with a bed and breakfast, and I'm in the tourism industry with events and festivals, and those are like probably two of the worst places that you can possibly be in the beginning of a lockdown, right? So at the end of 2019, we had just signed a lease on a second bed and breakfast. We were actually planning on expanding and opening up some more rooms here in Old Mandeville. We were excited. We had the construction crews coming out, and we were moving forward full speed ahead. And then, like you said, Monica, bam, closed door. And we had been looking for the right opportunity to expand for really a whole year at that point. We thought we found that perfect thing that was going to suit our lifestyle, was going to be easy enough for us to manage. God closed the door through some red tape that would have made the project impossible. And come to find out, that was when that door closed was just weeks before the lockdown happened. So if that project had gone forward, we would have been tens of thousands of dollars in the hole trying to renovate and open this bed and breakfast that would not have even been able to open up at that point. So God's protected us from that. But even more so, we live by faith. I don't make a decision without praying about it. And So we had prayed, God, if this isn't the right opportunity for us, close the door. And I encourage you, if you're listening, pray that prayer. Don't just pray for open doors, but pray for the doors to slam shut in your face sometimes, because sometimes we need that clear, that clear closed door. And so what really I got out of that was God saved me from a lifestyle that I did not know that he was saving me from. If we had been able to open that second bed and breakfast, I would not have time freedom. I would not be as present and available to my family. I wouldn't be homeschooling my kids. There's a whole lot of things that we would have had to given up that we weren't even thinking about, things that were really, really valuable to us. Chief among them is time freedom. So that was really the blessing that came out of that closed door.
Let me ask you this, Sarah, because there's a term that you have shared with me, God-opportunities, I think is amazing. But at the time, and maybe you could share with other Powerhouse women and others who are watching the show, how do you not have that knee-jerk, the sky is falling reaction and take that breath and go, I know there's an opportunity in here, I know there's a blessing in here, but it sure feels horrible. What's your advice?
Oh, man. Well, for me, I can say that's where faith comes in, because God's plans for you and for me are way better than the stuff that we come up with on our own. I make plans all day long and God laughs. But I am that I've grown in my faith that much over the years, seeing all the things that he's brought me through, that I trust that his plans are good. He's a good father. And, in my story, the thing that came out of that closed door was at the same time he was giving us another opportunity. We had just started health coaching within probably the previous 6 months. And that business during the lockdown rapidly grew. So he closed one door and he flung another one open and said, I've got this over here for you. This is time freedom. This far exceeds even the income potential from a second small B&B. So, you just got to trust him. And that's the advice that I have. And that's how I live my life. I have to.
Right. One of the things that you also talk about is the power, and for Powerhouse women, particularly those who externally look like, they don't break a sweat. They don't. But how do you begin to share your story? And in particular, if your story is not, oh, I woke up one day, clicked my heels 3 times and I was home and everything worked out.
That's not real life. You know that. Yeah. So we live in this social media driven society, and the majority, well, really all of our businesses rely very heavily on social media, on a personal level and on a business level. And so we have a tendency, I think, to always put our best foot forward. We want people to think that we have it all together and that we're wise and we're successful. And let's be real, like, none of us have it all together. That's not real life. And so if you're somebody out there looking at me all sunshine and roses thinking, oh, she has her life together and my life's just a dumpster fire. Oh my God. We all have our struggles. We all have our issues. And so my advice to other female entrepreneurs is live your life out loud. Share your real and authentic and true story. Don't skip the struggle, because that's where the gold is. And a lot of times, if we're real with people, and not to dump all of your drama on people, I'm not saying that at all. But if you're sharing where you've come from, the struggles that you faced, what you've done to overcome them, other people can relate to you on that level. That's going to create a depth of relationship that maybe wouldn't be there before. And so that's going to help you in your personal relationships, which is going to overflow into your business relationships, because people do business with you because they like you a lot of the times, depending on your industry. Like, relationships are important no matter where you're at. But if you're real and raw and authentic with people, that's going to make a huge difference for your life and for your business.
You touched upon something that traps a lot of business people, entrepreneurs, those who are building things, thought leaders, and that is the trap of comparison. So I look at Sarah and I see Sarah Federer, who is just all put together, has multiple businesses, working with her husband, homeschooling her kids. Oh my goodness gracious. How do you, or your thoughts on avoiding or getting out of that comparison trap?
Yeah, so that's a real struggle. And so I'll just say that my life is not all put together. Your life is not all put together. And we have to realize that other people are going through similar journeys and circumstances that maybe you can help them. And so when you connect with somebody, and just a little story, and I'm very open and honest with this, our family's very open and honest with this. In the beginning of our marriage and before we got married, my husband struggled very badly with addiction. You would not know that looking at our family now, but I should be, divorced, raising kids on my own. My husband, quite frankly, should be dead. He died twice in his battle with addiction. His heart literally stopped. You would never know that looking at us today. Our story is one of redemption. And so when you're living out loud and you're sharing those bits and pieces of your life, one, you're real. You give other people hope that, no matter what they're going through, somebody else has walked through that before, and they can make it. And I just think that's so important.
Yeah, thank you for sharing it. It's so powerful. And it really, and I think, and you can talk a little bit about this too, is that we think in our heads that we have to have a struggle, be all over it, and then reach perfection or reach the end of it. But there's someone, even if you're a couple of steps ahead of them, that's enough for them to listen to what you have to say, be inspired by what you've done, and encouraged by your life, even though in your mind you think you should be a mile ahead of everybody else.
Absolutely. So people need to hold hands with and lock arms with other people who are walking down a similar path. That's how, relationships are built. That's how you make connections. And if you think that you're too far gone, or you're not redeemed yet, let me encourage you with this. And I'm gonna preach just for a second on you. Every single person that was ever used by God, look at the disciples, right? Every single person that was ever used by God had grit, had problems. Like, you're talking prostitutes and tax collectors and hotheads. Like, those were the people that Jesus himself surrounded himself with. And so those stories, those really, really powerful testimonies, those were the greatest recoveries. Those were the greatest redemption stories. And so we can't lose sight of that.
Absolutely. That's a great reminder, Sarah. And you've been, in the beginning, we talked about pivot. And one of the things that you say is all about the pivot and diversifying, and particularly someone like you who, you have several businesses, but there was some talk about how you think diversifying and pivoting is vital, particularly with an uncertain world. And our world has always been uncertain. It just hasn't maybe been as dramatic as it has been.
Right. So whoever saw a pandemic coming, we never expected that. But I've in my personal life, like, I've always been a proponent of network marketing and the side gig, right? Like, you hear the side gig and people sometimes they roll their eyes, they don't understand it. But if you can find something that you are passionate about, and just dedicate a little bit of your spare free time to it, fit it into the nooks and crannies of your life, create that diversified income. Maybe it's real estate. Maybe you flip a house, or maybe you start an online business. Maybe you become a health coach. Maybe you start, some other kind of sales business on the side. Whatever it is, those things are so important in this type of economic environment. You have to diversify, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The company that you work for could get shut down. Maybe we have another pandemic, or there's a natural disaster, whatever. You have no idea. So, just being able to tap into those other revenue streams in times of need, that makes you versatile.
Absolutely. And again, it takes you out of this spot of, I really wish I could do what I really want to do in life, and this is X. Well, start X in the hustle. Start X on the side. Start right. X as part of the queue that is ready to go in the event you really need to pivot in a more determined way or intentional way.
Absolutely. And in other industries too. So don't throw all your eggs in the same basket. Find things that you're passionate about, that are authentic to you. Otherwise, it's just going to seem like a chore. But, the more you can diversify, the better off you'll be.
Well, it's time for us to do the Powerhouse Woman wrap up. And that's where we ask you basically 3 questions. And I'd like you to complete this sentence. A powerhouse woman is?
A woman who rises by lifting up others.
Oh, rises by lifting up others. I love it. I know you've been around. I first met you working for one of our Powerhouse Women guests that we had on early on when we launched the show, and that's Betsy
Yes.
Gamble. And you work with her, and I would work with you when I worked at the radio station. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? Who gave it to you? And Sarah, how have you used it or continue to use it in your life?
Betsy Gamble gave me one of my best pieces
Oh
of
my
advice.
goodness.
I have so much respect and just love for her. She's an incredible woman, but it really is develop relationships everywhere you go, make connections wherever you go, whether it's the CEO of the company or the guy working in the parking garage. I watched for years working for Betsy, her just developing relationships and friendships with anyone and everyone. I've never seen a woman who could work a room like Betsy Gamble. So that's a great skill to have.
Great. And finally, you work a lot with women and others as well. What's your best advice to Powerhouse women, especially now?
Oh, gosh. Keep it positive. Just make sure that your mind is what do we call it? A growth mindset. So don't have a fixed mindset, have a growth mindset. And what I mean by that is if you're faced with a challenge, like say I said, Monica, I need you to build me a house. Your fixed mindset would say, I've never built a house before. I can't build a house. I'm not capable of building a house. There's no way, find somebody else. Your growth mindset says, I've never built a house yet. I could probably learn how to build a house. I'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. It's going to be a challenge, but we'll make it happen.
Right,
and so that's the best way we can approach life.
Right. That's wonderful. And I was thinking, as you said, that example, I'm really good at organizing. I'll put the best team together and the house will get built.
Yes, absolutely.
And speaking of building things, and I want, before we go, you to talk about the Bluesberry Festival and what's it about. I know there's some new dates, and as things are opening up, not only in New Orleans and the New Orleans region and other places, people are looking for great things to attend. Tell us a little bit about where you are with the Bluesberry Festival.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was something that we started in 2019 with my business partner, Sarah Cottrell and Sarada Bonnet. It is a full day celebration of blues music and the arts and food, and it takes place in downtown Covington's Bogafilaya Park. Beautiful setting on the river. We had to reschedule it 3 times over the past year, but talk about the blessing of closed doors and the pivoting. We ended up, what was going to be in the hot summer is now going to be October 9th in Covington. So hopefully some nice, cool weather. And we've got a great lineup of blues musicians: Cedric Burnside, Eric Johansson, Band of Heathens, Ali Venable Band. So some really awesome blues names. Tickets are $25. You can get them at thebluesberryfest.com. And it's going to be a great event.
Love the name. How clever. Bluesberry. Sarah, we're almost out of time. How do people connect with you?
Facebook is the best way. Like I said, I live my life out loud. Facebook is a great way to find me, but email as well, sarahcfederer@gmail.com.
Wonderful. Sarah Federer on Facebook and Sarah C. Federer on gmail.com. And when you go to Facebook, you have your thoughts, experiences. You are living out loud. I read some of your things that you posted. So inspirational and so real. So thank you for sharing that as well.
Thank you, Monica. I appreciate you.
Oh, we've loved having you on the show. Thank you for joining us, Sarah.
Thanks.
And thank you for joining us as well. And we are so glad that you've spent some time with us. So I hope you've heard something. Go out, live out loud, and don't skip the struggle. Until next time, I'm Monica Pierre.